All right, today we're jumping into a story that is not about some overnight success. Nope, this is about failure, a lot of it, perseverance, and one person's just completely unbreakable confidence. This is the story of the guy who refused to quit.
So picture this. You're facing failure after failure, things are just constantly going wrong, and your go-to response is this: bruh, tomorrow I'll win. That one line tells you everything you need to know about our main character, Rahim, and is, let's call it, next-level confidence.
Okay, so let's properly meet the man himself. But here's the thing. He's not your typical hero, at least not when we first meet him. He's more of a hero of failing. And trust me, his track record is, well, it's something else.
I mean, just look at this failure resume. We're talking 16 failures, count 'em, 3 broken phones, and he even managed to get into 2 arguments with auto drivers. This isn't just a bad week, people. For Rahim, this was pretty much his lifestyle.
So you're probably wondering, how does someone rack up a score like that? Well, it all starts with something many of us have tried, that classic goal of waking up at 5 a.m. You know, to seize the day and be productive. A solid plan.
And how'd that go for him? Yeah, pretty much how you'd expect. He woke up at 7:30. A super relatable failure, right? But it's his reaction that really makes him special.
And this is where we see the magic of the Rahim mindset. See, in his world, it's never his fault. The excuse for oversleeping? Clock battery weak. This is that abnormal confidence I was talking about. It's practically a superpower. All right, so the 5 a.m. dream was a bust. What's next on the self-improvement list? Fitness, of course. He hits the gym, and he lasts for a grand total of 2 days.
And his reason for quitting is just, it's perfect. Muscle not coming down, maybe machine problem. You see the pattern here? The problem isn't Rahim, it's the world around him. You kind of have to admire the consistency.
But look, you can only blame the machines and the clock batteries for so long. Eventually, the weight of all this failing, it starts to pile up. And for Rahim, this is where he hits what you could definitely call rock bottom.
And this wasn't just about his personal goals. Professionally, things were just as bad. The hard reality was 6 rejections from job interviews. That is a lot of doors slamming in your face.
And then comes this moment that just feels like the universe is pulling a prank on him. Right after his 6th rejection, he's just sitting on a bench, and a dog literally looks at him, sighs, and just walks away. Man, when even the dogs give up on you, you know it's a tough day.
That moment, as weird as it was, became a huge turning point. It forced him to ask a really important question. What does it actually mean to be a loser? Is it the person who falls down? Or is it the one who just doesn't get back up?
And right there, that's where the whole story flips. Rahim decides to get up. He adopts this new way of thinking. It's about progress, not perfection. It just becomes about the simple art of showing up.
Now, this wasn't some glamorous movie montage transformation. It was a slow grind built on this super simple, repeatable formula. Wake early, study, work out, and here's the most important part: repeat. Just small steps done over and over again.
But remember, progress isn't perfection. His journey was still, messy. Case in point, he goes into a huge interview, thinks he crushed it, and only realizes later that the price tag was still hanging off his shirt the whole time. Oh man, can you just imagine that feeling?
But this is the new Rahim. Instead of letting that embarrassment crush him, he walks out of there and makes a promise to himself. Next interview, no tag, only brag. That right there is resilience. That's his self-belief making a comeback. But this time, it's earned. So he keeps at it. He trains harder and he gets shortlisted for another job. And that brings us to the final showdown, the ultimate test for this new and improved but still kinda chaotic Rahim. So there he is in the final interview, handling every question. And then it comes, the one we all dread. The interviewer leans in and asks, "So, why should we hire you?" Everything is riding on this answer.
And Rahim's answer is it's so powerful. He doesn't list off skills from his resume, he just tells his story. He says, because I don't quit, and people who show up grow up. He took his greatest weakness, that long history of failure, and turned it into his biggest strength.
And the result of that answer? One single beautiful word. Selected. He got the job. All that perseverance, all those tiny steps, every single frustrating day, it finally paid off.
But the story doesn't really end with the job offer. It ends with this incredibly moving moment. He calls his mother and says, "Amma, your son didn't become rich today, but he became fearless." And that just shows you what the real prize was. It was never about the money. It was about the person he'd become.
So what's the big lesson here? What can we all learn from this? Let's distill it all down to its core, to what we can call the Rahim mindset.
It all comes back to this number, 16. 16 major failures he had to face down and push through. This wasn't just a small hurdle, it was a mountain, and he climbed it one step at a time simply by refusing to stay down.
And that leaves us all with one final powerful question. I mean, this is a guy who blamed the clock, the gym equipment, even the dogs ignored him, but he kept showing up. So if Rahim can do it, why not you?